Welcome to Swords, Spears, and Arrows with Camille Babin, a podcast that features messages on spiritual formation, soul care, and a book club to help you win the battle within.
Hello and welcome to Swords, Spears, and Arrows. I'm your host, Camille Babin. Thank you for tuning in for another episode. Last week, we talked about the power of your imagination. And it was a big stretch, I think. I was just inviting you to join me on this adventure, or the Lord is actually inviting us to go on this adventure with Him, where we're able to imagine, where we're able to stretch our minds, stretch our imagination and our dreams, and dream bigger than what we currently see, to go past even our current circumstances. And I kind of want to stay along those lines, but just highlight something that sometimes we overlook, sometimes we miss, because every time we talk about imagination, we always see so far out, which we're supposed to, because it's kind of what we don't see right in front of us that we're supposed to imagine or to picture and see beyond. But in doing that, I don't want us to miss also the close things that are right there, right here in front of us. I don't want us to think that when it's imagination, it has to be, I'm thinking, or I'm having that visual of a magician pulling like a rabbit out of his hat. It doesn't have to be something so extravagant or something so far-fetched. I don't want us to feel like every time it has to be, there's a distance between us and our imagination or our dreams. It has to be something that is just out of the world. Yes, God calls us to dream big. He calls us to have faith, for things that to men are impossible. But where does it start? It starts with us. It starts inside of us. It's not something that is external. It's what is inside, what we're supposed to see from the inside, and then allow God to stretch it, allow God to enlarge it. Basically, you could start with something, and I'm reminded even of the mustard seed. How even every seed in general, they're small. No seed comes big. They're small for the most part. All of them, they may have different sizes and shapes, but at the end, they're all small. And when you plant a seed, what you get from that seed is nothing compared to the size of the seed. It doesn't even look like the seed, right? You get even like a lemon seed that you plant in the ground, and you get that huge tree that has so many more lemons, but it started with that one seed. So that's really where I want to focus on today, on that seed, on that little things. And sometimes when we talk about the things that we possess, the things that we have, or what we want to do, it's hard for us to see the small seeds inside of us. It's hard for us to imagine what we can do with it. We always tend to think bigger. We always tend to think that it has to be something that will cost us so much, or something that will require so much effort. And I always share that with the people that I'm around, or that are around me. I always say the sad thing, or the tragedy of life, the things that I've realized is how much we put so much emphasis on the things that we don't have, instead of looking at what we have, instead of focusing on what we have. And we tend to dismiss, or we tend to devalue the things that come to us so naturally. And there was one, I think it was 2 weeks ago, when I was also talking about rethinking work, how we think that work has to be something that causes us to struggle. Work has to be so difficult. If we don't see sweat, and we don't see blood, and we don't see tears, we feel like we're not working. If we have fun, we tend to assume that it's not really work, right? When you see somebody enjoying it, you feel like they're having a good time. That means they must not be working. And I've come to realize that this is where we've bought into the lies of the enemy. This is where we kind of overlooked and we neglected the precious gift that God has given us, and that's His grace. The grace of God that empowers us to do so much more, so many things with ease. He never meant for us to toil. He never meant for us to labor in vain. We feel like we just had to keep trying and keep doing and just repeat and fail over and over. before we can achieve success. And I'm not saying that we will not have failures, but actually, I don't even call them failures, because if you learn something, you haven't really failed. But I want us to really change our mind and change our perspective and understand that when God is asking you to do something, and the greater thing that you will do is not the thing that will be the most difficult for you to do. It's really in those small things. It's really in the seeds that seem like they're so unimportant, they're so insignificant, but they produce a great harvest. They produce great trees and great fruits. So it's really that. What is it that you do so graciously, that you do, like with so much ease, that comes naturally to you? That's really where I want your eyes to stop today. I want your mind to just pause for a moment and just think about that. The things that people come to you often for, they ask you for your help, they ask for your advice, they ask for your direction. I mean, they come to you because they recognize that there's a special grace on your life. They recognize that you do those things, it seems so easy for you. And they'll be like, how come you can do that? Oh my goodness, oh, you do that so fast. And even the thing that, even when you're tired, even when things go wrong in your life, you don't have what you want, or things are just out of control, maybe the kids are just giving you a hard time, whatever the case may be. But those things that even in the midst of the chaos, even in the midst of difficult times, you're still able to do it, and do it with a smile. You're still able to do it and find joy within. You can just feel the joy or the satisfaction inside of you, and you don't feel like it requires you so much. The things that people will anticipate that maybe if they do it, that it will take them 3 or 4 hours, and here you go and you do them in 30 minutes and you're done, and they look at you like, wow, how come, how did you do that? And to you it seems so easy, and you be like, come on, this is not difficult, let me show you. And they still don't get it. But it's really not for them to get it, and that's really what I want you to understand. It's not for them to get it, it's for you to get it. It's really for you to understand that that's the grace that God has given you. That's where He wants you to operate. That's your work. That's the way you cultivate the garden. When God created us, He called us to tend the garden, to work the garden, to watch over it. And it wasn't something that was supposed to be painful. It's not something that was supposed to be, so hard, the way the world wants to paint it now, as if we have to fight against each other. Everybody wants the same spot, and we're running against each other, and there's competition, and there's, just strife, and who's going to get the seat, and who's going to get the position, who's going to get the promotion. It's not about that. I just want us to realize that we each have our lane, we each have our grace, we each have our assignment. And even if you can feel like maybe you 2 or 3 doing the same things or having the same idea, the way to bring those ideas to life will be so different. It will be so specific to who you are, to your experience, to your personality. There are things that you just do the same. Even like chef, you can tell they can cook the same meal, but it's not going to have the same taste. You can use the same ingredients and it's not going to give the same results. I mean, try those recipes sometimes that you see those videos and you try to make the same thing and you wonder, how come I followed the exact, direction that they gave me? I did everything, I bought everything, and it still didn't give the same result. Why? Because there's always something that is specific to you. You have that uniqueness. And that's really what I want to encourage you today. Go after what makes you special. Don't try to trade your seeds for someone else, thinking that, oh, my seeds are too small. Oh, this is not. No, you grace for that. I want to encourage you today to just take a hold of the things that God has given you. And we have to stop just taking those things for granted. And because it comes so easily when people will tell you, why don't you do that? You need to do, I know a friend, someone I know, actually, she's not a friend of mine, but I know her, that she loves to cook. It's something that she's just grace. When I look at her, I said, you just grace for it, because she loves to do it. She can be tired, doesn't matter. But when she's in the kitchen, she thrives. She will be singing while she cooks. She just loves it. She tastes it and all this. And I look at her and I say, she doesn't even know, that this is a gift. This is a grace. This is a talent. This is not something that, comes naturally to everybody. Don't get me wrong, I can cook, I know how to cook, but I'm not graceful for it because I don't like doing it. I only do it because I have to do it. But if it's something that I didn't have to do, I wouldn't. So this is not, and this is what we think the definition of work is. For me to strive to do it, it's like, oh yes, you're working because you're going, past what you don't like, and you still have to force yourself to do it and strain yourself. No, what she does, that's her work. God has placed that passion inside of her. He's placed that ability to just get those onions and dice them and slice them and turn them, and she knows how to make a great meal, and everybody's happy, and you can receive the love through what she does. You can receive the joy, from, because you know that she's happy doing it. You know that she puts all of her mind into it. She puts, all of herself, basically. She gives herself, through that meal. So I'm just giving that example so that you can understand what God is calling you to do. It's not something that needs you to stay up, like for 24 hours to figure it out. It's not something that needs you. And I'm not saying that we don't sharpen the gift, we don't sharpen the skills. I'm not saying that we don't increase our knowledge. Yes, we do. But it doesn't come from a place of pain. It doesn't come from a place, of striving so hard and struggling and hustling and thinking we have to do so much, instead of just looking at what God has placed inside of you. What is the desire of your heart? What is that thing that maybe right now you don't see it as something big, but you like it and you do it. People come to you to help them, and you keep pushing it because you feel like, oh, this is nothing really. This is not what's going to bring me anything. This is not what, yes, it will. If you leave it into the hands of God and you trust him with it, that's what is placed inside of you. All he's asking, bring it back to me, present it before me. I will multiply. I will increase those in you. As long as you take it seriously, as long as you see value in it, if you learn how to cherish the gift, and that's why we always encourage not to throw our pearls to swine. And these are your pearls. These are your pearls, but you see, we have the tendency, and if we want, I've learned that a few years ago, that when the Bible warns us about something, it already shows us that that's what we tend to do. That's what, most of the time, that's what people will do. We tend to cast our pearls to swine. We tend to give our treasures to people who don't deserve it, or who don't honor, we don't value it. Why? Because we don't even know that they're pearls. So all those things that you do, I want you to see value in it. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be like your neighbor. You don't have to be like your best friend. You don't have to do even what your dad did or what your mom did. Just be you. Just do what God wants you to do. Just do what comes so naturally to you, that it doesn't come with pain. That you can increase, you can reproduce, you can, and people can benefit from it, and they can feel, most importantly, they can feel the love of God. Because why would God tell us, whatever you do, whether you eat or drink, do it for the glory of God, and everything that you do, let it be done in love? How can you do something, you think that your work is something that you hate? It doesn't go together. It doesn't even make sense. You were never supposed to hate your work. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that what you grace for, there will not be areas that you're not going to enjoy. Of course, there are some aspects of what we love that we don't love so much, and that's where we turn to other people. That's where we need to involve other people. That's when you understand that it's bigger than yourself. You may plant the seed and all that, but then you probably don't like to water that much. That's where you need someone else to come to water. That's where you need someone to come and prune those trees and all these different things. We need each other. But I just want you to understand and to realize today, and to even seek, if you haven't done it, take a moment, get a notepad, get a pen, and ask the Lord to show you what are the seeds that is placed inside of you. What is it that is calling out of you right now? What are the things that you don't see, or that you've neglected, that you've taken for granted because you didn't see value in it? And I pray that you will be able to see the value. I pray that you will be able to understand that this is my lane. This is what I'm graced in to do. This is what God has called me to do. This is what and these things, and you start decreeing over those things. You start speaking life over it, saying, I'm prospering in what I do. I'm prospering in what I do. Why? Because God has called me. God has entrusted me with those gifts. He's entrusted me with those desires. He's entrusted me with this passion, and I'm submitting. I'm bringing that back to him. So I pray with you today that your eyes, you will be enlightened. I pray that your eyes will be open. You will be able to see the seeds, no matter how small they are. You will be able to see it. And God will teach you how to nurture them so that He can produce a great harvest, not just for you, but for those around you. So I pray that this word ministers to your soul. I pray that it calls you to change and to just go after all that God has for you, all that He has for you, not half, not some, but all of it. And it doesn't have to look like anybody else. It just has to look exactly what God wants you to look like coming from you. God is trusting you with His purpose. He's trusting you with His vision. He's trusting you with the dream that He has, that He wants to bring to this world through you. And all you need to do is just say, God, here am I. Here am I. Teach me, show me, use me, send me. And I pray that you will just go after it with all your might and knowing that God is with you. So I pray you have a blessed week, and I talk to you next week.
Thank you for listening to Swords, Spears, and Arrows with Camille Babin. If you would like to find out more, check our website, www.havilasolutions.com, or follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Havila Solutions. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any episode.